Hi everyone, this is Anna here, and before we get started with the painting, I just wanted to show you this brush holder that I got from Amazon, and I'll put the link in the description. It comes with this palette where you can put all your underglazes like I did. I was finally able to organize everything, and it has a lid, so it keeps your underglazes from drying as opposed to my old way right there, which was very messy. So here it has all the dividers where I can keep all the colors separated. And I just love it. So this is the bird mug from my lives. And here's my reference picture. This bird is called green-headed tanager. It's very colorful. It's a bird from Brazil. Like I am making a series of mugs all from birds from Brazil. So I first started already, but putting the very flat colors first, sort of like a medium color. So the head is like a blue-green, actually more like a turquoise blue. So I don't know why it's called the green-headed. To me, it looks more blue than green. So I used turquoise from Duncan. So I am using Duncan underglazes as well as Amaco. As you can see here with the darker blue is I believe it's medium blue. I use both medium blue and electric blue from Amaco. But I'm just using just not really making any color variation, or if any, very little. And that's how I usually start before I use other layers, of other colors on top of that. So I also used for the wings, it's a lighter green, almost like a chartreuse color. So I use neon chartreuse from Duncan with some other darker greens to make it so that the texture on the wings will show. And then this bird has a band of black, and black is very hard to paint. At least that's what I think, in my experience. The black color tends to be very powerful, and it's never like a true black. So I mix the black with some dark green just so it's not all black. And there are parts on the video that I will speed up, and I'm just explaining here how I go about, from start to finish. Like I said, it's just making some strokes, not really thinking about any layering right now, except for when it gets close to another color, like you see here. I try to make it so that the feathers go into one color, from one color to another, not really blending, but putting one color over the other. So then when I come with another layer on the wings, that layer of color would probably be green, will overlap. So they overlap each other so that it doesn't look like there is a line separating. So because they are feathers, so some darker feathers can be underneath with the lighter feathers over it. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just going over the green just a little bit. And then on the edges where it meets with the mug itself, as you see later on, I tend to use a darker shade of whatever I'm using to make like a shadow right up against the mug. So I do that all the way around the bird. And here I'm using a green, I believe it's Hunter Green by Amaco, mixed in with some blue or turquoise blue to give this real nice dark teal color. And then this bird has it has a lot of blue on the tail and on the chest, but also on the wings it has some black outlining the feathers on the long feathers on the wings. So after I'm done with all the colors on the wings, I'll go with the black and do like around the long feathers. I'll outline it with the black just so that the black will really look crisp. And I'm still debating if I'm going to put clear glaze over the whole thing, the bird and the leaves and the branch, or if I'm going to just leave it with underglazes and then just glaze the rest of the mug. So I'm still going back and forth on how I should do it, because I do like with the clear glaze over, but the problem is that the clear glaze, it doesn't matter if it is, you have to use a clear glaze that doesn't have zinc, so it doesn't change some of the colors, like especially greens tend to change and go a little brown if you use a clear glaze that has zinc in it. So I use Kittens Clear, which it's listed under the community tab on my page. But anyways, even using a zinc-free glaze, it still kind of blends in. Once it gets fired, it tends to blend the colors, so they're not as crisp. So if you spend a lot of time adding a lot of detail to something, then it's always a little disappointing to see that the colors are blended and the details are kind of erased. Not erased completely, but they're sort of blended. So as you can see here, I'm starting to use a little bit of yellow. And this one is actually neon yellow because on the back it has orange and yellow. So I also started using a little bit of the yellow on the wings as well, just as another layer of color. Because it is chartreuse, but it has also like some blue here and there. So as you can see now, I'm using like a teal, a darker color over the chartreuse, and I have the brush on an angle so that it touches the texture that I put on when I carved, that I put on the long feathers, so it brings out that texture by using a different color, as you can see there. So this is the time that I start using, a second color or a third color, and you start layering, and then you see that I'll go from that to the orange that I will start using that on the back, like that one. And this is a real vibrant orange. It's called Flame Orange by Emiko. I like this color, but sometimes I need to tone it down a little bit because it is so bright. But looking at my reference picture, it is a bright orange on the back. So I used that one, and then I mixed in with another Emiko color, which is the bright orange. And I believe I used some sienna yellow also. That tones it down, the orange. But this is a fun bird to paint because it's so colorful. I just love to see how it changes from the time, that is all white to then when it's all done. It's really a transformation, and I love that. I don't particularly love painting myself, but I do love the results. So it's one of those necessary evils, I guess. I don't like glazing that much either, but I love seeing the results. Same thing with painting. So here I got the purple mixed with a little bit of blue. It's actually violet from Amaco mixed in with a little bit of medium blue. And I was going to start using that on the berries, and I thought I would just start using some on the tail feathers as well. And you can see that now you start seeing like that mottled look on the colors. So that's what I'm going for. And that's why it's important to layer your colors to give that effect. And the tails have a darker blue. That's why I'm using the purple with the blue together. So here you're going to start seeing me using more similar colors to blend in a little. So now I got my turquoise blue, and I am going over again just to blend that darker blue so it's not, you don't see like that defined edge where I used the blue with the purple over the lighter blue. So I blended a little bit to give a nice transition with colors. So I'm blending in again with the chartreuse over the blue. And the same technique, using now a lighter color over the texture to differentiate the colors. It makes it so that the texture stands out. So underneath the tail now I'm using that same mixture of violet and blue over the turquoise, just to add some definition. So now I'm using the hunter green over the blue, just with some strokes to kind of resemble feathers. And that's over the medium blue that I had before, which I only had one layer of that blue. So now I'm coming in with the green, which is a darker green. And here I'm using the turquoise mixed with a little bit of white over the wings and the chest area. Also for some highlights. And you can see that I go over the black a little bit. Not to blend, but to create that effect where it is that overlapping effect that I mentioned in the beginning. And here I'm adding a little bit of purple mixed with blue over the turquoise to create that mottled look. So here I'm adding a little bit more of the orange again. And right in the middle is a lighter orange and yellow. And here I'm adding some white on top of his head just for some highlights. So the whole head is about a mixture of blue. So I have turquoise, then I use turquoise mixed with some white, little purple, and then the final one was just creating the highlights on top of the head. So here I'm adding now the black for the outline of the feathers. And on the picture, it really looks like all the long feathers on the wings are outlined with black, which is a really cool effect. And I'm trying to replicate that. So we'll see when it's fired if I can maintain that same effect as it is on the actual bird with the black, with the outline. I think the black against the chartreuse looks really really nice, like a real nice contrast in colors. And I am pulling that black a little bit in towards that band of black that he has around the neck. So here I'm adding some white on the wings just for some highlights. And that's like the final thing that I do. Just to add that light effect on the wings. And then I will continue on to the branches and the leaves next. So here I'm using Violet by Amico for the berries. And then I will use some highlights with the pink and then a little dot of white, just as a highlight on the berries. But the branch was pretty much a mixture of browns, light brown, dark brown, sienna, yellow, little bit of green here and there just to look like moss on the branches. So, and now I'm doing the berries. There's I think it's about 5 of them there where I'm painting right now, and then there are some other ones, 3 of them above him. And then I'll show you how I do the leaves. So here I'm using a darker blue just to highlight the leaves. I used a darker blue and a darker green, the hunter green, which is a dark green. But for the colors on the leaves, I pretty much use lighter colors like chartreuse, some turquoise, and some peacock green. Oh, and also Papago blue, I think it's called, by Duncan. So they're light colors, and then I do the veins of the leaves with a darker either blue or green to add some contrast. Now here on the berries, I added a little bit of pink with some white and violet just to create some highlights on the berries, because the background was a dark violet. So then I added the lighter color over it. And then the final touch is that little dot, like to show that shine on the berries. I always like to add a little bit of white on it. It's a nice little touch. And I did that to each one of them. And I'm almost done with this one, and I have 2 more to go. For the bird mugs, actually 3. I have also a little jar that I made that has a little lovebird on the top of the jar. So I'm going to paint that tomorrow. And I'll make sure to post the end result. I hope you guys enjoyed my videos, and please subscribe. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.